is Vyom. We are both junior robotics developer in the technical team. And then we have two guys from the DSC chapter of our college. That is Anand, who is an administrator, and Dikshita, who is a webmaster. So before beginning the session, I just have an announcement to make. I hope everybody has their Git installed in the system and have their GitHub accounts ready. If not, then there will be a link in the chat box. Please do it so that by the time we reach the hands-on session, you will be ready to go. Okay, guys. So before beginning the session, I would like to know: do anyone of you have any idea about Git, or would you like to share your opinions? Anyone? Anything? Okay, fine, cool. So I was like that in second year as well. I had only heard about GitHub, but I did not know anything about Git. So that's what we are here for. So let's move on to the next slide. Next slide, please, Anand. Okay, so what is Git? So last week you guys learned about open source and its role in various domains and its advantages, right? So that is all well and good, but you need something to manage all that code, all that huge amount of data. So that is where Git comes in. So Git is a distributed version control system for tracking changes in computer files. So by version control system, it means that all of your project data and the changes that you make in with the project data that gets stored in different versions and you have full control over those versions. And it is a distributed VCS, so it is not a centralized one. In centralized VCS, there is only a single server in which all the team members are connected to, and once that if that server fails, then we have no option but to wait for it to get back up. But in distributed VCS, every team member has a local copy of their project files, so they can make changes according to themselves and then push it onto the server. Okay, so second point is it helps in coordinating work between multiple developers. So this is the main reason why everybody uses Git, because coordinating and collaborating is much easier. So all of you must be second year and above here. So you will be having your mini projects coming up in every semester, and especially in this 2020 COVID scenario where you cannot physically collaborate with each other, it is best to use Git to your advantage. Okay, so the third point is it keeps record of who made changes and when. So Git has this interesting feature that it has a logbook in which all the track history is recorded, and it you can review it at any time. So you have full knowledge of what anyone is doing to your code, what changes, who is making and when. Okay, so revert back to any previous version freely. So as I said, it is a version control system. You have full control over your versions and you can switch back and forth at any time, as and when you like. So next slide, please. Okay, so the second question arises is that why to use Git? So you must be wondering that I'm already using all these languages like Python, C, and Java. And along with it, I have to learn this additional technology named as Git. So I'll be just telling you why. So as you go on higher and higher in coding, you will understand that coding itself is not that much of a task, but instead managing it and writing clean and documented code is way harder. So first of all, it's free and it is open source, so anybody can contribute. And then the main reason is it is a most commonly used version control system. So the main thing with open source is that you want to have a large community so that you can all learn together and give it back to the community and then grow together as a whole. So that is why we use Git, guys. Next slide. Okay, so this now let's understand about the workflow of Git. So this is the basic workflow of pushing a local repository onto GitHub. So these are the three steps that you will be keeping in mind: add, commit, and push. So add basically add the files, your project files, onto the staging area, from where you can commit those changes to make it permanent, and then you can push it onto GitHub. Next slide. Okay, so this is a basic working environment in which we'll be working. So first of all, we have a working directory. This could be any folder in your PC that you want to work on. And then we have the staging area. So in Git, we have a concept of a staging area, which is like the intermediate phase between adding and pushing the files onto GitHub. And then we have the local repository. So once the files have been added to the staging area and then you commit the changes, so it turns into a local repository and then you can push that repository onto GitHub. So remote repository is nothing but the GitHub server. Next slide. Okay, so in this diagram, you can actually see the workflow in action. So first, let's take an example of, suppose you're making an Instagram clone. So everybody uses Instagram, right? So it has a lot number of functionalities, like it has a login page, then it has a chat window, then there is a stories section and all of that stuff. So suppose you are adding the login page. So you want to save it onto GitHub. So for doing that, there is a process. First, you have to add those files into the staging area. So the staging area basically tracks those files. So Git doesn't know. There must be n number of files in your PC, but you have to let Git know that these are the files that I want to push and please keep track of them. So when you use the git add command, it will be tracking those files and it will be moving on to the staging area. And now you can commit these files along with a message, like I've added a login page or something like that. So it commit basically what it does is that it takes a snapshot of the current state of the project and then freezes those changes to make them permanent, and it turns it into a local repository. And then you can push the local repository onto GitHub using the git push command. So add, commit, and push. And there is a catch here that uh, if you are working with a single file and then you made some changes, you made some modifications, so then you have to re-add them. So the working directory will be a present condition of the project, but Git doesn't know that you have made these changes. So you have to re-add them, or else if you have added another file, then also you have to re-add them to the staging area. So the staging area and local repository will only have the changes saved of the previous commit. So unless and until you commit every now and then, so it won't be saved. Okay, next slide. Okay, this is the git clone command, which is basically downloading any remote repository on GitHub that you like, and it will make a working local copy onto your PC so that you can start working on it. Next slide. Okay, so this is the last command that we'll be seeing today. It is the pull command. So this is a combination of two commands, fetch and merge. And this is similar to the clone command, but this is similar to the clone command, but when you're working as a team, so everyone will be making changes now and then, right? So what you want to do is instead of cloning it again and again, you want to pull those changes onto your project. So first it will fetch those changes and the git merge command will apply those changes. So it reduces your work to clone again and again, and it also prevents waste of storage. So that is why pull is the best practice when working as a team. Okay, next slide. Okay, so there is a concept of branching in Git, which we will not be demonstrating in the live session, but it's best to know this because it is so much advantageous. So here you can look that there is a master branch, which is the root branch or the default branch of the project. And suppose let's go back to that example of the Instagram website. So you are making a login page, so you work on your separate branch, that is the login branch, and then somebody else is given a task of building a chat functionality, so they are working on their separate branch, and then both of you are merging the code in the master branch. So what it does is that it lets you work simultaneously on different things, and and also makes collaborating much easier. So the main concept of branching is that you don't meddle with the main master branch. You just work in your own separate branch and then you merge them together. Okay, so that's it from me. Now Anand will be continuing with the hands-on session.
Anand, you need to unmute yourself. You're not audible.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes, Anand, you're audible. Share your screen.
I'm really sorry for that. I don't know what was happening. Yes, so I hope everyone has installed the Git into your system and created a GitHub account. If yes, then please type done in the chat box so that we can start up with the hands-on session. Okay. Okay, cool. A lot of people have done it. So okay, then we'll start up with the hands-on session. Okay. So yeah, assuming that most of you have not configured your Git into your system, we will first help you with configuring the Git with the GitHub. Okay, so first I have opened my folders. Okay, so here in the folders, I usually work in the D directory. I usually store all my folders and projects inside my D directory, and I'm comfortable with it. So please open your working directory where you always store all your projects. Okay, so and when you are inside that folder, for Windows users, click on the search bar and type CMD and press enter. Okay. So this will open the command prompt for Windows users, and for other Mac and Linux users, right click on that folder directory and click on Git bash here. So it will open a terminal, and on this you can everyone please mute themselves? I'm getting a lot of disturbance. Thank you. So after opening this terminal, you can type any and all of the commands here. So both of them are same, but I usually feel comfortable by doing commands in my command prompt. So I'll be using that. But you can even use this. It's one and the same. Okay, so now that I'm inside this directory, I will create a folder just for today's session. Okay, so for doing that, I'm going to type the command mkdir make directory, and I'll type the folder's name session git underscore session, and I'll press enter. So this will create a new folder. Now you might be wondering that I can even type the git session folder by by right clicking at this space and then creating on a new and then folder. Yeah, both of them are same, but I just save some time for me by typing this command mkdir git session. If everyone has understood till now, then I can go ahead. Just type one command git mkdir git session. If yes, then please type done.
Anand, you can move ahead.
Yeah, okay. So now that I have created a folder, I'll move inside this folder. That means that my working directory, as you can see here, is D. So I'll change my directory and get into this directory. Get underscore session. Okay, I'll change the directory. So now I'm inside this directory. Okay, so I have created this folder just for today's session. If you want, you can even delete it after today's session. Okay, so I hope everyone has understood that mkdir command. It is used for creating a new folder. It is basically an OS command and it does not require Git to be installed inside your system. Okay, so that's some general knowledge. Now, I'm assuming most of you have not configured your Git, so I'll be first telling you how to do that. So for configuring your Git, which means that you need to have a connection between the Git that you have installed and the GitHub, right? So you will be using many of the commands like push, pull, add, commit, etc., and all of these need to be like going to be should have some space that it should go, right? Like suppose मतलब मेरे पास कुछ account भी नहीं है तो फिर मैं किधर डालूंगा? You can even try it yourself if you have not configured it yet, then you can try typing the command git commit. Then it will show you that it will ask you to please configure your git. So you need to first configure before moving ahead. Okay, so I'm typing the command git config dash dash global. Global means anywhere inside your PC. So basically you are using configuration globally so that you don't have to type that configuration again and again every time you are creating a new repository in a different working space. So globally we'll configure your username and username anywhere and everywhere inside your computer. User dot name and in double quotes your username of GitHub, and then press enter. So this will configure your username. So yeah, so this will do that. Now if you have forgotten your username, yeah, most of the time it happens. Even I had forgotten last year. So there is another configuration technique, git config dash dash global, but you should remember your email ID which you used while creating an account with the GitHub. And then I'll press enter. Okay, so I hope everyone has understood this configuration commands. So I'll go back to the PPT. Yeah. So this is actually dash dash. Okay, so if you want to see the commands more clearly, this is actually dash dash, and this is also dash dash. Now I have to explain you something about the password. Okay, so first optional. Okay, so the Git usually saves your password in plain text format. Okay, so what is plain text? Basically, whenever you are storing your password, so basically if you are using Instagram or Facebook and you are typing your password, right? When you are creating an account and you are logging in, it is saving your password in an using cryptographic methods. Okay, so it should be done that way, but Git is not doing that. It is storing that your password in plain text format, which is considered as insecure way of storing the password. So I and our team does not recommend you to do so. But if you have already done it, then no issues. But if you are new to this and you haven't configured, then you don't do it right now. Whenever you type the push command, it will ask you for your password. At that time you can type your password. Okay, I hope everyone understood about this password and why we are not recommending you to configure your password right away. If yes, then please type done.
Yes, you can move ahead, Anand.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so if you want to see your configuration, all the configuration that you have done, you can type git config dash dash list. Many a times it happens that you might have unknowingly made a typo or something, so it will be showing you your username and your password here. So if you have made a typo, then you can go ahead and copy this command and then retype your real password. Sorry, real username and real email ID. Okay, so the command is git config dash dash list. Okay, so moving ahead. Now we'll go on to the next command, which is git init. The git init command creates a new Git repository. It can be used to convert an existing unversioned project to a Git repository or initialize a new empty repository. Okay. So basically, what is an unversioned project? So if you have a big mini project that you have not yet created into a repository, so if you have not created a project into a repository, so it is unversioned project. Okay, so you can make it as a repository by using git init command. And most of the git commands are not available outside of an initialized repository. So this is usually the first command you will run in a new project. So remember that. So I'll type the command git init command. Okay. So remember, as you can see that the folder is empty here. Okay. So and now I'm typing git init. Init. So it initialized an empty Git repository and the address. Okay, so I hope everyone has understood till now. Now I will explain you how to create a repository using GitHub. Okay. If I'm going too fast, then please at any time you are free to tell me that you are going fast and you can ask me to stop. Okay, at any time. So I ask everyone to first concentrate here how to create a repository and then you can do it. I'll give you some time. So I'm inside the address github.com and then I'm clicking on this plus sign and then I'm clicking on new repository. So I'm in this page now. So now I'm typing the repository's name as demo. So it says that demo is available and then I'm making sure that it is public. It is available to everyone and then I'm initializing this repository with a readme file. So remember the steps. First I wrote the name demo, then made sure that it is public, then initialize this with a readme file and then I clicked on create repository. So now it has created a new repository. Now just look here and see what I'm doing. Now I'm clicking on this settings, which is beside the about. Okay, not this setting, this one. Okay, I hope everyone can see my mouse pointer. Settings, and then I'm typing the topic as HacktoberFest. No need to worry about the spelling. A drop down list comes and then you can directly click enter on it and then save changes. So a new topic called as HacktoberFest has arrived here. Okay, I'll explain to you in a moment that why I have done this, but just remember how I went about. I created a new repository, then gave it a name called demo, and then initialized with the README file, and then made sure that it was public. And then when I came on this page, I clicked on settings, which is beside the about, and then on topics, and I typed HA and then a drop down list came about HacktoberFest and I clicked enter on it and then save changes. Okay, so now you guys go ahead and create a repository called as demo inside your own account. And once you have done that, please write done in the chat box. We'll wait for you. Yeah, we'll wait for 2 minutes and then we'll continue. Hurry up, guys. I'll wait 1 more minute for you and then we'll continue.
I think you can continue, Anand.
Okay, so yeah. So let's take a quick recap of all the things that we have done till now. First, we created a folder using the command mkdir git underscore session, which was the name of the folder. And then we configured our git, and then we did git init, which initialized an empty repository. After that, we created a repository named demo inside our GitHub and gave it a topic as HacktoberFest. All right. So I hope everyone understood till now. So let's go on further and learn a new command called as git clone. Okay. So sometimes it may happen that you are working on a mini project with a group of people. At that time, your team leader created a repository for the team, or sometimes it may happen that you are working on a project on by yourself and you found out a topic that you need which is present inside a repo, or you found a repo fascinating, because we as coders we usually tend to find some of the other thing fascinating many a times, right? So at that time you can either, let me show you, at that time you can either use this button called as download zip. It will download that repository inside your downloads folder. Yeah, so this is like universal for all the OS. So basically whenever you download anything, it will get downloaded inside this download section of your folder, right? But you don't want that. You want it to be inside your working directly without moving it from your downloads to your first unzipping that download zip file and then moving it to your working directory. You don't want that. So what you will do is you will click on this notepad type structure. What it will do is copy that link. Okay, that link into your clipboard. So press on that and then you will go into your working directory. So this is our working directory git session that we had created for today. And then, okay, so yeah. And then I type the command And then I'll type the command git clone, and then I'll paste that link. I hope everyone understood what I did. And then I'm pressing enter. So it will clone that file inside here. So as you can see, a demo folder has been created with the README file. So yeah, I hope everyone understood about the git clone command. And Ritik had taught you, as Ritik had taught you, what this does, git clone command does is it takes the repository which is inside your GitHub. So your GitHub is the remote repository, and it pastes that repository inside your working directory, which, as you can see here, is present inside here, and then also inside your local repository. I hope everyone understood what git clone command did. It basically downloaded the file inside your working directory. We have completed all the commands like git configuration, init, and clone. Okay, so we will move on to the main commands, which are add, commit, and push. Okay, so for that, we had created this demo file, demo repository, right? We will make changes inside this demo repository. Okay, so for that, I'll click on this README file, and then I'll add a sentence inside this README file. Hello guys, I hope everyone is understanding what I am doing right now. Full stop. Okay. And then I'm saving this file. Okay, so what I did was I changed this README file, which was already present inside my repo. Okay, so I'm deleting this. Now I want to add another file inside this demo. So how I'll do it? I'll go to my download section. I'll click on this pyramid.cpv file and I'll right click on it, and then I'll copy it. So it is copied to my clipboard, and now I'll paste it. So as you can see that the pyramid.cpp file has now arrived inside my repository, but this is just present inside my working directory and my working repository. Okay, so if you need to see the changes inside of here, I'll need to actually add, commit, and push. I'll need to run all these three commands so that the changes that I have made inside my local working directory visible inside the git add dot. What does dot mean? Dot means that everything that I have changed inside my repository will be added to the working staging area. Okay, so what does this mean? That I am not inside my repository. So as you can see that git session is this working space, and inside this is my repository called as demo. So I have to actually change my directory and get inside this repository, which I did not do. So I'll change my directory and go to the demo repository. You might not actually get this warning because I had actually initialized my git somewhere else too. So that's why I am getting this. If you don't get this error, don't worry, but still you have to get inside your demo repository. Remember that. Okay, so change the directory to demo and then press enter. And then since a lot of details have already been up here, I'll type CLS. CLS means clear the command screen. So this is for Windows users, and for Mac and this Linux users, you can type clear. Okay, so now I'll type the command again, git add dot. So what does this mean? I'll explain it once again. It will take all the changes that was made in the README file, and I also added a new file called as pyramid.cpp in my repository. All these changes which are made in the repository will be pushed to the staging area. Okay, so I'll press enter. So yeah, so now all these changes have been pushed to the staging area. So I hope everyone is understanding what I'm teaching right now. If you are with me, then please type done so that we can move ahead. If you are wondering that you don't have that pyramid.cpp file, you don't need that pyramid.cpp file. You can just demonstrate by changing that readme file. So if that's what you are thinking, then
Anand, you can move ahead now.
okay. So the next command is status. What does status do is basically it will tell us the current status of our repository. As you can see that we have actually added the two changes that we have made, the readme file modified and the pyramid.cpp file which was added as a new file. So all these changes are now in the staging area. So let's see what git status has to tell us. Git status and then press enter. So it is saying that changes are to be committed. Okay, and your branch is up to date with the origin. Okay, so and it is saying that the new file is pyramid.cpp and modified is readme.md file. Okay, so it means that all my changes which have been added are now ready for commit, which means that the it is ready to go into the local repository from the staging area. Okay, so let me now change something inside the readme file once again. So what I'll do is I'll type hi, just two things, just two letters, hi, and then full stop, and then I'll save it again. So I have changed this readme file once again. So let's see what the git status has to tell us now. So it is saying that the changes have not been staged for commit, and it is saying that the we have modified the readme file, which is absolutely true. So it knows that. So whenever we add something or do something new inside our project, we should always continuously check for git status. It is a good practice to do that, so that we will also know that which all files were added, which all files were not added, and stuff like that. Okay, so now since I have changed the readme file, I'll have to type the git add command once again. So for that, I'll type git add readme.md file. Now, as you can see that now I have not used the dot operator, which I had used earlier for adding the files. Like first I had added typed git add dot, and now I'm typing the file name. So both of these are right. Earlier, since I had two changes, and it would have been a lot of I would have to type the file name twice. So that's why I chose dot, which took all the changes. And since I just have one file that is changed right now, I'm using the file name. Both of them is correct. Now, if I had typed the dot operator right now instead of the file name, it would have also been absolutely fine. No issues with that. Now let's type git status again. So it is saying that the changes to be committed and these two files, which is true. So I hope everyone understood the git status and git add command. So if yes, and if you have completely understood this, then please type down in the chat box. If you think that I'm going too fast, then you can stop me and tell me that भाई फिर से बता दे चलेगा.
Anand, you can continue now.
Okay, thank you. So the next command is commit command. So we have made some changes and then we have pushed these changes to the staging area using the add command. Okay, so now we have to push these changes further to the local repository. So how we will do that? We will do that by using git commit minus m minus or dash m, and in double quotes we will write a message. So for this I'll type first and then I'll press enter. So what is this commit doing is it is taking all these changes that was present inside the staging area and then pushing it to the local repository. So yeah, so that's what this commit doing. And after that, I hope everyone has done with this. I'll keep this command here. Don't worry. And then after this, you have to actually make these changes visible inside your GitHub, right? So for that, inside your local repository, right, remote repository, right? So for that, you need to take these changes from the local repository and push to the remote repository. For that, you have to write the command get push. So for most of you who have not configured your password at this time, it will ask you for your password, GitHub password, and then you have to specify it. So after doing that, you can see your change, see the changes in the GitHub. Yeah. So let me refresh this page. So as you can see that the README file, hello guys, I hope this, and hi, all the changes have been visible here, and pyramid.cpp has also been arrived here. So if you have any doubts in these commands, then please do ask me. Or if you thought that push and commit went too fast, then also you can ask me. Are you facing any disturbances from my side? Voice
No, Anand,
disturbance.
it's perfect.
Oh, thank you. Can you please tell me what to repeat? The commit or the push or both? Okay, never mind. I'll tell you both the commands. Okay, so okay, once since the changes are already be done on my side, I'll just explain you what it is actually doing. So, okay. So as you can see that we have changes and it was added inside the staging area. Okay, wait, let me explain it with you with the PPT. Okay, so as you can see that we made some changes inside our working directory, right? And then we used the add command, which made sure that all the changes were inside the staging area. And now, once we are in the staging area, we use the commit command, which basically pushed all the details that was present inside the staging area, like the change we made with the README file and we also added a new file inside the repository. Right. So what all changes we made? We made the existing change. We made a change in the existing file and also added a new file inside the repository. So these changes are inside the staging area. So now all these changes were pushed to the local repository when we type the commit command. Okay, but still it isn't. It is not inside our GitHub. GitHub is the remote repository. So when we actually type push command, all these changes went to our GitHub. So now you can actually see the changes that we made inside our working directory visible in the GitHub. Um, I hope I was clear. But still, if you have doubt, you can ask me. Was the doubt clear? Made clear, or do you have a doubt inside of how the command is to be typed or something like that? So here is the command git commit -m, which basically means the message. So first is the message, and then git push is basically pushing the local repository to the remote repository. Okay, okay, cool. Thank you. Now I'll demonstrate you. Okay, one more command is left, which is the pull command. Now, pull command, as Ritik had taught you already. One second. As Ritik had taught you already about the pull command is basically similar to clone, but actually really very helpful when you are working in a project in a with multiple people. So basically, assume an example that I and Ritik are making an Instagram app, Instagram clone. Okay, so I he is working on the login page. He made all the HTML and CSS styling, all the things he made, but I am the one who is going to connect it with the database or the server side. Okay, so he made the changes and he pushed it. Now I had already downloaded that repository inside my file, inside my working space. Okay, so now I had already used clone command. Okay, so now I can either, after his changes have been made, I can either do clone, which will create another folder of the same repository inside my working space, or I can do pull command, which will take all the changes that he had made and apply it in my working repository. So we can try it, but nothing will happen right now because no one has actually made the changes inside my repository, right? So after typing this, already up to date. So it means that no one has made any changes inside my repository right now. So git pull is basically used when you are working in a team and someone has made changes and you need to make all those changes visible inside your computer too. So that is what git pull is used to do. So that's all for the commands. I'll tell you how to create a pull request and merge the pull request as required by the HacktoberFest. But first, tell me if you understood all the commands or not, why they are used, how they are used. If yes, then we'll move ahead and learn how to create a pull request. Is anyone stuck up in between, then please they can let me know. I'll guide you through the commands once again.
Anand, you should move on now. Just finish the thing. Aishwarya got an error.
No configure push activation. So just a second. While using the push command, right? For push. Okay. Just a second. Okay. I never actually got this error, so let me just once check what this error is actually about. If anyone from the if Harsh has given you, Harsh and Mithil have given you out. Okay, so I'll move ahead and show you how to create a pull request. Okay, so I'm inside Vyom's repository. Okay, Vyom's repository on hands-on session. So I'm clicking on fork. So remember these steps for creating a pull request. First click on fork, then I'm clicking on my repository, and then it will take some time to actually fork. And once the fork is done, fork basically creates that same repository's copy inside your own account. So basically now I have a repository name with the same name as of Vue. So I'll make some changes inside the README file. So for doing that, I click on edit this file. I'm typing hello Vue. And after doing this, I'll commit the changes. And once I've done that, uh, I'll go to click on pull request, and then I'll click on create new pull request. Then once I have clicked on the create pull request, and then once again I'll click on this. You can even leave a comment or write something here to update readme.md. Okay, so pull request have been created for Vue. So now I'll also show you how to merge that pull request. Okay, so I have already got a pull request here. It is called as change in the background color. So I'll click on this, and then I'll add a label called as HacktoberFest accepted, and then I'll enter. So you can see that a label called as HacktoberFest accepted has been arrived here. And then I'll click on merge pull request and then confirm merge. So it is saying that the has everyone understood what I have done, how I had merged the pull request and how I had created the pull request? If yes, then please type done in the chat box. Okay. So yeah, so you might be wondering that why I added a topic called as Hacktoberfest at the beginning while I created this demo file, demo repository, Hacktoberfest this, and why I added a label called as Hacktoberfest accepted while merging, right? So and a message called as update for the PR rules for the Hacktoberfest event. You might have seen that message. It appeared last week, I guess. So it said that for the competition of this Hacktoberfest, like every October it happens, right? You might be knowing about it. Uh, if you complete 4 pull requests, then you will get some goodies, and it should be accepted within by the rules. So what are these rules? Is that all those pull requests which are made on the repository which has a topic called as HacktoberFest, or all those repositories which, while merging, give your pull request a label called as Hacktoberfest accepted, will only be accepted as +1 PR. So that's how you actually make a topic called as Hacktoberfest. First click on this and then go to topic and then type the Hacktoberfest topic there. Or while merging, you as you saw just right now, how to create a label. So actually it is or clause is between these two, right? But I have taught you both of these techniques, like adding a label or a topic. So please make sure that you do both of these just to get +1 PR. Like क्यों फुकट में मतलब नहीं रहना है ना कई को, मतलब इसलिए कर दो दोनों, 1-2 मिनट जाएगा ज्यादा से ज्यादा, इसलिए yeah. So that's it from my side. If you have any doubts of any commands or how to create a pull request on, or any doubt regarding any of this part in the session that you did not understood or you got any errors, then please feel free to contact us, or please do write your queries in the chat box.
Right, Anand, 1 minute. So, for the end of the session, we'll have a small little activity. I'm sharing my screen. One sec. Anand, you can stop sharing now.
Yeah, I stopped it.
Okay, so I hope my screen is visible. And everyone just go to
Yeah, it is
slido.com
visible.
real quick and type the code 153. It's on your screen. Just go to slido.com and type 153. You'll be faced with a question which is on. You can ask us queries, you can tell us how you like the event, or you can give us suggestions for the future. If you have any queries, now is the time to ask. We'll keep the screen on for 10-15 minutes or till your queries run out, and you guys can ask us all the questions. Just go to slido.com and they'll ask you for a code, type 153. Great session. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for attending. Do we have any questions in the Q&A? Yes, there will be public repositories available by the tech team that we'll be sharing either the next session or very soon with you guys. There'll be issues created on it which you can solve. This time we won't be giving any simple repositories because that's what DigitalOcean told us. You cannot create pull requests just for the sake of creating pull requests. They should be approved and accepted by HacktoberFest. So we will be creating repositories very shortly and we'll share it with you guys for sure. Can you explain in short about those labels? Okay, one second. GitHub labels. So you can find most of the stuff on GitHub documentation. These are the main labels that you'll find on GitHub. It's called bug documentation duplicate enhancement. So whenever you create a pull request, it's easier for the person who's maintaining the repository if you explain what you're doing with your label. So let's say you're fixing a bug, you put the label bug. If you're improving the documentation, you can put this one. If it's a duplicate repository, you can put this. If the maintainer finds that this pull request is a duplicate, it's done by somebody else already, then they can use this label. Enhancement good function. Most of these are self-explanatory. So for GitHub, so for Hacktoberfest, to decrease the spam that's been happening, they've created a separate label which is Hacktoberfest accepted. So if you are creating a label, if you are creating a pull request just for Hacktoberfest, make sure you create it in a repository that has Hacktoberfest mentioned in the labels. And once the maintainer says Hacktoberfest accepted, at that point you can be sure that your pull request has been accepted by HacktoberFest. So that will be one out of your 4 repositories done. Yes, that answers your question, I hope. I am getting an error. What error? Most of the errors while performing push are due to incorrectly configured remote. We'll be uploading this whole session on YouTube shortly, so make sure you check it out there also.
But you can try to run git config dash dash list and check if you have configured your username and email correctly or not. I don't know if it will solve the error, but you can do try that if that is what is giving the error. I don't know.
Again, if it's not working, feel free to DM either me or Anand or anyone from the tech team who's the admin for the group.
Yeah, we'll
We'll
surely
help you
solve
out
it.
personally. Yes, we'll help you out personally. I'll share the error in the team chat. Okay, for sure. We'll wait for you. If you guys have any more questions, feel free to share it, or else we'll end the poll in 2 more minutes. When we fork a repo, are we supposed to? Okay, so when you fork a repo, make sure that you're forking a repository that already has Hacktoberfest label, uh, so that you don't have to change anything further. And when you're making the pull request, at that point you can also add a label, or the maintainer will add the label. Usually, when you make the pull request, the maintainer will have to edit the pull request as Hacktoberfest accepted, so that it's verified by the maintainer, and then it will be accepted by DigitalOcean Hacktoberfest. How to keep updated or fork from others account? Okay, so you can usually use git pull. Git pull updates the repository to the original repository. For this. Can you explain our pull requests again? Where do I check how many pull requests? I'll show you one second. DigitalOcean Hacktoberfest. You go to this first website, Hacktoberfest DigitalOcean, and you click Start Hacking, and then you sign in with your GitHub. It's hacktoberfest.digitalocean.com. These are my repositories. I've already completed mine, so it's showing. Can you explain about pull requests again? Yes. So about this, what happens is whenever you fork a repository, that makes a copy of the repository on your account, because obviously you cannot edit the repository that's owned by someone else. So once you make changes to that repository, you can now request that those changes be added in the real repository, which is owned by someone else. And if the person who owns the repository thinks that these changes that you've made are worth it or they need to be changed, then in that case he'll merge your pull request. So the changes that you've made, you propose those changes in the form of a pull request. So once the maintainer approves those changes, he merges it, and at that point your code is included in the real code. I think I answered your question. If you cannot find the website, feel free to ask me. I'll share the link with you. It's DigitalOcean, Hacktoberfest, and this one. Hacktoberfest.digitalocean.com. Can you explain about labels again? ठीक है. I'll show you a few. Wait a minute. I'll show you Hacktoberfest. ठीक है. Business call, comments, issues, discussion, stocks. So this is a repository that I just found online with you guys. I hadn't planned or anything. So if you look at this repository, there is a label here which is Hacktoberfest. That means any changes that are made to this repository can be added to the Hacktoberfest record. And if you see issues, there's 11 issues. These you can fix. And again, here there are labels, there's Hacktoberfest, etc. That means these three issues can be fixed under Hacktoberfest. So you can open any of these, you can check out what they need. There's a whole thread here which you can read and find out what the exact issue is. Then you fork the repository from here. You fork the repository, you make the changes, and then you create the pull request. Once you create the pull request, at that point, the person who owns the this repository, in this case it's the algorithms, they will check your pull request, and if they add this tag to your pull request, Hacktoberfest accepted, then your pull request will be counted towards your progress in Hacktoberfest. That's how labels will work. So you can simply search for the topic and you'll find loads of repositories. We'll also be sharing our repositories very soon, which will have the Hacktoberfest title attached to them. There's loads here. I think that should be it. We'll share any resources that you guys need later. We'll also upload this whole video on YouTube so that you can refer it later in case you have had any problems during the session. Last question. So basically we just need to add the label Hacktoberfest during pull request. Yes, but the person who has made the repository will do that for you. When you're creating a pull request, at that point you just have to make the changes and make sure that you're making changes in a repository that has Hacktoberfest in its labels. As I showed you, suppose you're making a pull request to this repository, make sure that in the labels it has Hacktoberfest, otherwise it won't be considered. Just make sure that this is there. Rest all the person who's maintaining the repository will do. So we'll close the session for today. If any of you guys have any doubts, feel free to DM any of us. We'll answer your queries. And hope you guys enjoyed. We'll meet you guys next week for our next session, which will have more doubts and a little bit deeper into GitHub. See you guys then. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.